Dear viewer, welcome to yet another edition of Taxes Today. This is a program aimed at educating and informing you about taxes and any other tax-related issues in the country. Today, as usual, you are with me, your host, Raso Chimbayo. My guest in the program is Mr. Bentry Khonje, Project Manager, Electronic or Physical Devices at the Malawi Revenue Authority. He will be talking to us on VAT registration and the importance of VAT registration. Now join me as I take you to his office. Welcome to the program.
Thank you very much.
To begin with, what is value-added tax or VAT?
Value-added tax is one of the taxes which are administered by domestic taxes in MRA, and this is a tax which is imposed on goods or services. It targets the value that a manufacturer or a trader has added to the goods or services which is making available to his customers.
How is value-added tax or VAT calculated?
Value-added tax is on the goods and services, and it is paid by the consumer or the buyer. The way it is calculated is that, one, you have to establish what is the value that a trader has added on top of what he bought to sell. So if, for example, you buy goods at 100 kwacha, then before you sell, you look at the profit that you would like to make. And you also look at the expenses which you have incurred. So you will be adding on top of the 100 kwacha what you feel will be your selling price. Now the VAT, which in our case in Malawi is at 16.5%, the standard rate, will be on top of what you have added. So you will calculate it on top of the whole value at which you are selling the goods, but in essence, it is actually only the value that you have just added. Now, how we ensure that the trader remits only on the value he has added, he is given a chance to claim back the VAT that he may have paid in order to acquire whatever he is selling. So that same example I gave you, if you got goods at 100 kwacha, you may have paid VAT at 16.5% from wherever you bought them. What you paid is claimable to you, refundable to you by government. So when you charge now this 16.5% on top of what you have added, plus the initial value, then before you remit, you will claim back what you paid on acquisition of those goods or services.
When can one register for value-added tax or VAT?
There are conditions which must be met for somebody to register for VAT. One is that one should be supplying goods or services which attract VAT. That's the first one. Secondly, one has to reach a certain turnover, and currently in Malawi we require somebody to be making a turnover of not less than 10 million kwacha per annum. But that's again tricky, because we say, when should one register for VAT? 10 million is per annum. You can break that down to per month. How much should somebody make per month? So you find that it is coming to around 830,000. Then again, we can look at it to say, in terms of businesses, in a month, how many days do they operate? You may take roughly 25 days. Then you may find that actually per day, you should be making about 33,000 of supplies in a day. So you'll see that actually most of the businesses, if they sell or supply goods or services which are taxable, they are actually eligible to register.
What documents should a business person bring to register for value-added tax?
The first document which we require is a registration, which one will register the business with the Registrar of Companies. That we want to ensure that he is in a business which is registered with Malawi. Then secondly, we wanted to confirm the identity of the person to be registered if he's a sole trader. So we may require a passport or any ID that he may have.
Where can one register for VAT?
We have offices throughout the country for MRA, domestic taxes offices. He can go to any of those offices and they will register him for VAT.
When a business is registered for VAT, what are the documents which MRA gives as proof of registration?
Apart from the other documentation which is internal, which we have, the registered person is given what we call the VAT registration certificate. And this certificate is the one that even the buyers will demand to make sure that they are paying VAT to somebody who will remit VAT to government because he is registered. So that's the most important document, the VAT registration certificate.
You are watching Taxes Today. We will be back after this short break. In the program today, I am speaking to Mr. Bentry Khonje, Project Manager, Electronic Fiscal Devices at the Malawi Revenue Authority, MRA. Welcome back.
Thank you.
How many types of value-added tax or VAT registrations are there?
We have two types of VAT registrations. We have voluntary registration and compulsory registration. I will explain why we have the two. Compulsory registration, that is when you have qualified to register for VAT. And you have no choice, you have to register. So you come forward on your own and apply for VAT registration. If you don't, then we'll follow you and we'll make sure that we register you for VAT because you have qualified as per the law. The voluntary registration is where sometimes, because of the nature of your business, as a business person, you may wish to register for VAT voluntarily. Note that you have qualified. And you have to make a special application to the Commissioner General, where the Commissioner General will look at the reasons as to why you would like to be registered. If he's satisfied, then we register you for VAT.
What are the advantages of registering for value-added tax?
The first one is, as a business person, you are a citizen of Malawi. You have to contribute to the development of your country. You have to take part. So by collecting VAT from buyers and then remitting it to MRA, it's a service you are giving to our government. But apart from that, as a registered person, there are a number of advantages. The first one is that when you register for VAT, it means now you will be entitled to claim the VAT that you will pay when you are acquiring whatever you are selling. So to you, VAT is no longer a cost. When you are doing your costing, you will not include VAT, you know you will claim it back. That directly affects your selling prices. It means your selling prices will not include VAT. It's not a cost to you. That's the first one. There are documents which we issue from MRA, especially when you are bidding, and they are required by other institutions within Malawi. One of them is tax clearance. You will be easily getting those tax clearances because you have proof that you are a registered person and you are tax compliant. As of today, most of the businesses, they also demand that if you are charging VAT, you should give them what we call fiscal receipts, which are from the fiscal devices. So if you register for VAT, you will be able to acquire a fiscal device. And then you can issue a fiscal receipt. And then you'll be able to trade with whoever is demanding those type of documents. These, I would say, there are the major advantages which one will have if he's registered for VAT.
What is expected of a trader who has registered for value-added tax?
After getting registered, of course, the first thing is that this trader will be given a VAT registration certificate. So he is supposed to display it at his principal place of business. If they have got other places of business, they may need to have copies of that registration certificate. This is to make sure that the buyers, they don't doubt that one is charging VAT when he is not registered. At the end of the month, a VAT registered taxpayer is supposed to submit VAT returns, where the return is defined to refer to a calendar month as a tax period. That is the other thing that is expected from the VAT registered taxpayer. In terms of records, one has to keep proper business records because at a certain point, MRA officers or officials may come to do inspections just to verify that what was corrected has really been remitted. So one has to keep proper records. And as I've said, visits by MRA officers at an interval, depending on the risk which they foresee with the business. they are supposed to visit the taxpayer. So you are also expected to accommodate them, and they should come and have a look at the records.
When is the due date for remittance of value-added tax or VAT?
VAT tax, unlike other taxes, as I've said, the tax period is defined as a calendar month. So you are supposed to remit what you have collected in a month before the 25th of the following month, assuming it's in January. VAT collected in January has to be remitted before the 25th of February. So it can be any day from the 1st up to 25th, but it should not exceed the 25th.
Mr. Khonje, what will happen to a person who is eligible to register for value-added tax but has not done so?
Well, I don't think there would be many, because if you remember, I've looked at the advantages of getting registered. Sometimes that can happen because people, they don't have knowledge. But otherwise, they would register. However, if somebody is not registered, the first step is that as MRA, that's our duty, to follow up and then make sure that one is registered. And we even give what we call taxpayer education. Of course, there are consequences which sometimes may not be healthy. Like if it is seen that it is deliberate. The sales which one made from the time he qualified for VAT registration, they will be taken to have included VAT. So that will be worked up, and that VAT has to be remitted. And of course, there is a small penalty for late registration, which one has to pay because he did not register on time.
Mr. Bentry Khonje, Electronic Fiscal Devices Project Manager at the Malawi Revenue Authority. It was a pleasure having you in the program.
Thank you very much.
Dear viewer, until next time, when I will bring you another edition of Taxes Today, I'm Raso Chimbayo. Goodbye.